All right, everyone, we're live again. You might not hear the same level of energy because it's like 9 p.m. and I'm starting to feel a little bit tired. I've been all day on this QB, which is like a little elliptical that I put under my desk. It's not
Yeah.
an ad; they're not sponsoring me. I bought it. I paid for it. It's about $300, but basically it syncs with your uh, Android or iPhone. There's an app, and you're while you're sitting, you're so I did more sports today, which was good,
Mhm.
because we have to try to keep healthy while this COVID lockdown is still on. I lost count. We're past 1 month of COVID lockdown here in Italy, but luckily things seems to be getting better. But like I mentioned, basically I've been spending time to connect with my existing LinkedIn network. So basically I've been able to put together a list of all my um, LinkedIn followers, and then basically I've been engaging with them and asking them, can we connect? Can we go on live? And this is basically like what I did. So basically,
Hmm.
it's been actually quite interesting. I figured out that if I did the summation of all the followers of my followers, and we're over 80 million now.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I'm only at 22,000. So in this ranking of my followers, I would be only at spot. Oh my God, I gotta go down, down, and down. So I'm only at like place 500 of my followers. So my followers are much more important than me. And I mean, of course, we all know that we can't assign kind of if somebody has more followers, it doesn't mean anything, right? So don't feel bad, but it is still it can have an impact, on marketing and sales. So definitely could be a way of selling, right? Through these influencers that are following you. So it is an exercise that you might want to do. And that's how I connected with Brenda, and she does actually something similar that hello and welcome. And actually, please go ahead and introduce yourself. And the first question is going to be about how you do something similar, where I saw you
Mhm.
analyzing, kind of your certain LinkedIn people. So
Yeah.
those thanks for joining. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and thanks again.
Oh, sure. Thank you for having me, Vincenzo. And I look forward to joining the conversation today. But yeah, so I'm an independent marketing consultant, and I specialize in helping people and businesses unlock the power of LinkedIn. And I do that through individual coaching, team training, and I speak frequently at conferences and events, which right now are not happening, but doing a lot more live
Hey, this is
conversations.
a conference or an event, so that's pushing it
I
right.
still speak at conferences, but they're more virtual now. It's the Zoom session
Exactly.
version of things. So, yeah, but the list that you're referencing is actually something I started to put together. Oh gosh, it was probably about a year and a half or so ago, and I was inspired by a fellow LinkedIn strategist. His name is John Aspirian. He's located in the UK. I'll give him a tag later. And I
Oh,
know
please.
I don't know if you're following John Vincenzo.
No,
No.
yeah, you need to type it for us. So like maybe I'll send you the link of the live so you can easily kind of
Just drop it
see
in the
see it there.
comments in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can
So
easily open it to some other tab.
cool. So what John was doing is he was tracking data for his posts, and he would say he was evaluating, which posts get the greater level of engagement. Those with a text or a visual or a link, and then how many hashtags. And he was really kind of breaking it down, and I just thought it was fascinating. And one day I reached out to him, I'm like, "How are you doing this? Is this like a program you're using, or where are you getting this?" He's like, "No, I'm just doing it all in Excel." And I said, "Well, that's kind of brilliant." And then he was evaluating himself against himself, and I said, "Gosh, I wonder if I could use this to look for other people who are heavier users than I was on LinkedIn so that I could learn from them." So it was like one afternoon, I just put together an Excel spreadsheet, and I initially dropped into that sheet just like you're doing in your spreadsheet, the names and the LinkedIn URLs for people that were LinkedIn trainers and coaches. And then over time, I started adding to it because initially I was just visiting their profile, seeing what they were doing. And then over time, I started adding in data, and I was looking at, you can't see the connections because that's only something you can see. If they have less than 500, you can see that. But other than that, it says 500 plus. But you can see followers. So what I started to do is I'm gonna send this link to you here if you want to drop it up on screen here. So this is John's
Oh
profile.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, so what I started to do is track followers, and there's a way you can look at somebody's profile on LinkedIn. As long as they are active on LinkedIn, posting on a regular basis, etc., you can see under their activity section, it says how many followers they have. And so every week I would drop in their follower count, and then I started looking at who had the most followers on LinkedIn and kind of learning from them. And then I started, looking at patterns. How many followers were they growing every week? The thought here being the people that are growing followers on a regular basis really understand how to use the network effectively, and they're putting out good content. And then I started to kind of rank them. I was trying to figure out who is, how do I fit against a Gary Vaynerchuk, for example? He's big in the marketing world, and against some of my fellow LinkedIn trainers and coaches from around the world. And rather than evaluating us on a follower basis, because Gary Vaynerchuk's got, I don't know, his 5 million, 7 million followers. I can't compete with that. I will never rank close to him. Not today, not anytime soon. But I can evaluate myself by percentage growth. So if I'm gaining at, a clip of 10% growth each week, and some of my peers are not growing as fast, or they're growing faster, I can start to learn from them. So then I kind of started rank ordering people based on percentage of follower growth. And one day I thought, well, gosh, this is kind of fun to track myself, but what if I publish it? And I kind of gave it a name, and it was, just the Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstars. And then the people that were ranked, I had initially, I think, the top 10, and I tagged all of them, and they were like, wow, this is really interesting. Thank you for tagging me. And then over time, I just kept publishing it. And it's connected me with so many amazing people from around the world, and yourself included, Vincenzo. So that's a little bit of that backstory.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm happy to be part of those people. And yeah, I've been having this really interesting conversation with people like you, just like trying to keep it casual, like we were grabbing some coffee. And I think about what you said, I was writing. I mean, I wrote focus on growth. I draw a rectangle, and I put 3 checks, because that's what they tell us, entrepreneurs. That's all we need to focus on.
Yeah.
If you just keep growing, it won't take long till you become big in terms of company revenue, or followers and stuff like that. So it is all that matters.
Yeah. And on that note too, I recently surpassed 30,000 followers. It just happened like in the past 2 days on LinkedIn. So for me, it's like, you guys, I started out with 1 connection, and then I had 2 connections, and one day I had over 500, and it was like, wow, I have over 500. I mean, it was like gradual, the process, but it reminds me a little bit of, if you've ever seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption, and you know how he digs a tunnel through the wall. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but he digs a tunnel through the wall, and eventually he escapes from prison. And how did he do it? He did it, 1 scoop of dirt at a time.
Right.
He was pocket, and he dropped it in the field. And that's all I've been doing, growing my followers, is just 1 follower at a time, continuing to put out good content.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it. But also it's been amazing. Like now I have a friend of mine that became friends. She was one of my top 10 followers. Now she's top 20, because I connected with people with more followers than her.
Yeah.
And we're becoming good online friends, talk about doing some business online. So it was like a really good way to like think about your network. And again, like I really don't like to equate, numbers of followers to anything as to, person's worth or intellect or anything like that. But it's just that they can impact potentially X amount of people. So you just want to like think about that. And they have definitely demonstrated some skills and some effort, like in doing that. So there's something to that, right? So you don't want to live by it. You don't want to just like hate it. You just take notice, take it into consideration.
I think it shows progress. And I mean, ultimately the goal isn't who can get the most followers on LinkedIn or the most connections. It's, whatever your goals are, that's how you should be measuring success. And if you can achieve that with 1,000 connections, 1,000 followers, who cares if you have 30,000? It doesn't really matter. But I guess I'm using it as a little bit of it. Initially, it started with setting a benchmark for myself, and then evaluating myself against the industry. And then over time, it was a way of really starting to shine the spotlight on other people in my network, because I've never ranked #1 on this list, and I've split it up and done some different things in there, but I've never positioned it in a way where I eliminate people to put myself in the top position. I'm usually like about 14th, 15th ranking in the LinkedIn trainer list. But what I found is over time, it's really connecting me with some amazing people throughout the world. And I started adding, initially it was just me picking people. And then I started having people reaching out and nominating people or saying, hey, can I get added to your list? And I started putting some criteria in place to make sure that the list was being true to the original purpose, which was shining the spotlight on really good people who were doing a really great job on LinkedIn and who were kind of epitomizing like a rock star mentality, which is, caring, helpful, focused on the community, highly engaged with your network. Not self-serving. We're more active with connecting with other people on LinkedIn than we are shining the spotlight on ourselves. So sometimes when I have people reaching out and saying, hey, can you add me to your list? And I've even had people reach out and say, can I buy my way into your list? Like, can I sponsor this? And then you add me in. And I'm like, no, that doesn't quite work. And then sometimes I've had a couple people reach out and say, can I buy the list from you so that I can turn it into an app or, license it for software? And I'm like, no, I kind of feel like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, like when people kept coming up to him saying, can we buy Facebook? Can we buy Facebook? And he's like, no. But
yeah, I mean, I gotta. It's not quite the same, but I appreciate the kind of
analogy there. This is not a Facebook. This is just for me. This is, and it's now for the community, really.
I'm showing this because I like every time I see it, it's quite interesting. And I have a question for you, like why some people get tagged and other people not? Like, what's your criteria for tagging?
Not me. So this is like a little hiccup that we experience sometimes on social networks, and it seems to be the tags sometimes. I mean, when I went through initially, I had tagged all the 25, and they all worked. And I put all the text in, and I put my 3 hashtags in, and then I clicked post. And then a minute later, I went back to the post and half of the tags dropped out. And I don't know why. And sometimes I try to go back in and edit them back in again. And then sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm just.
I've seen it. Yeah. Got it. No, it actually happened to me as well. And it's like one of the times where like I sometimes have given up on posting entirely. Like I was like, I'm not posting this anymore. I'm like done. So I know exactly what you mean. And I guess, you post natively on LinkedIn. You don't really care about other networks and so on. Because I just got back to started using Buffer again.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show. Do you use Buffer or you just go straight on LinkedIn?
I mean, when I'm posting on my personal timeline, I prefer to post organically, natively, within the network. It's just me actually typing things in. I don't have a team of people doing it for me or anything.
Yeah.
It's me, and I want to control the time of day that it goes out, and I want to control the message that's in there as well, and also the ability to tag people and or companies. I sometimes will do both. Versus Buffer, I find it's a really great tool to help with automating. When I'm sharing outside articles, if I want to read more content, blogs, things like that I've shared before, I usually will use Buffer for my business pages, but on my individual pages, I post myself. That's just preference.
So okay, and then just to complete on this, on these rankings that you do, like what are the different rankings? I guess you have the LinkedIn coaches like you, and then what else is there?
So there's 3 lists. I originally started with everybody in one, and then I realized someday, gosh, there's some people on this list, like the celebrities, that they're deemed LinkedIn influencers by LinkedIn, and they've been tapped on the shoulder already, and they have millions of followers, and it's not really fair to assess us against them. So I pulled them out, and then over time the list kept growing and growing. And in the beginning, I was really taking most nominations, as long as they were at a minimum follower count, I was adding them to the list. And it got to a point where it was like over 100. It was becoming a lot of work for me every day. I did it once a week. And then I started saying, well, gosh, it's not fair to compare traction for LinkedIn strategists and coaches against people who are finance executives or people who do video marketing or other activities on LinkedIn salespeople. So I started splitting the list. So I've got my LinkedIn trainers edition, and then I've got a non-LinkedIn trainers, which is the everybody else below 100,000 followers. And then I reinstituted the high follower list as well. And those are folks that have 100,000 or above. It's still me. I select who gets added to the list, and I've even taken some people off of the list if I feel that over time they're not demonstrating the rock star criteria. You know, if they're never posting, if they're not engaging with their network, some people start to remove connections, and that's perfectly fine. But if I'm not saying like this is a good person for me to watch because I'm trying to grow on LinkedIn, that's my goal, and I'm also trying to shine the spotlight on people who are active on the platform. If I don't feel like they're doing those things, why am I tracking them? They're not paying me to track them, so I take them off of the list.
Yeah, there's a question from JD Gargano in the audience. He was asking if there's a limit on how many hashtags you can use. I guess it's probably easier to Google that, but maybe you know it off the top of your head.
So really great question. There's not a limit, but people from LinkedIn have said they recommend no more than 3 hashtags in a post. So it's a good kind of rule of thumb to think about, you know, no more than 3. You certainly can use as many as you'd like, but you have to be aware this is a professional networking site for the most part. Most people don't know what hashtags are. Then they see you put 30 hashtags in a post and it looks spammy. So think about the human element of that, you know. So I would be a little bit cautious about that, but you can also go into LinkedIn Help and see, you know, see what they may say about the use of hashtags on the platform. Really great question.
Yeah, and guys, keep them coming. And I finally, you know, I was never using this like show the comments, but it's kind of fun. This is actually a friend of mine who was saying I gotta leave now. I would love to hear it more. He's a friend of mine when I was back in San Diego, living there for 5 years. Hello, Bruno. Yeah, I actually decided to go live on all platforms, even though LinkedIn is my, you know, kind of most important one. Then I guess some people prefer to watch on YouTube or with the TV or Facebook or whatever.
Where are you on? You're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Where else are you?
Yeah, I activated them all. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Because I had a designer friend who says, "Oh, I heard you on Twitch, and I'm subscribed to you." And it's like, to be honest, it's been fun to like. I realized it helped me connect with some other friends, right? So that was also cool, and I got quite a few people like thanking me for. So that's why I kept going, and even though today is the day I'm most tired, but luckily we got you. You're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I was tired too before coming on. I was like, I had to go splash some water on my face and kind of freshen myself up because I was like, I had a live earlier today, and then I did a webinar earlier today, and
we're humans. There's nothing wrong. You know, at least we're you know, just if you feel the low energy, you know, forgive us, right? So and no, I downloaded one of the PDF. And I'm taking a more detailed look. Maybe I should show that specific tab because strangely enough, I noticed how like it's really hard to see like from LinkedIn. It's not that easy to actually see.
See it up on screen.
Yeah, it's the first time I noticed. So this is a PDF that I actually downloaded. So this is how it looks, guys. That's why you want to follow her. I mean, I would follow you just for this stuff. I mean, without anything else. Now we're gonna. But this was definitely what caught my eye the most. So it's cool that, you know, the links are kept in here. So it's gonna be really easy for you to see these people that Brenda is mentioning. Good that you have a link also to you. I think you should have a link to you in here, by the way.
Is it in the footer? I feel like I have my link in there somewhere. Well, I think I'm in this chart and I'm highlighted in green, a little obnoxiously.
Okay.
But I had somebody, I think I had myself in a different color, and they reached out to me and they said they couldn't see my color, and they said they were colorblind, and they said don't use, I don't want blue or brown or something. They said you should use something else, and I put it in green. So I am in the chart in this one, but that's not a bad suggestion, you know, adding my LinkedIn URL in there too.
Yeah, I think you definitely deserve that little bit of branding in here. That's really cool. So I love it. I mean, to be honest, and then I want to understand, like, okay, these are the LinkedIn rock stars. Like, what did you say? There's celebrities no more, then there's LinkedIn rock stars. Like,
right. So I have like a list that is my 100,000 plus follower list, and those contain some celebrities and the LinkedIn influencers, you know, the Bill Gates and the, you know, I can't even think of all the names I have on the list there.
Right. Got it.
But it's the people that have over 100,000 followers up to, and I kind of Googled who has the most LinkedIn followers, and you can find some influencer lists that are kind of floating around, and then I don't think there's any one definitive source that says here's a list of LinkedIn followers are the largest, because it changes day to day and it'd be hard to maintain that. But I did find a few that had, you know, people who had large followings on LinkedIn, and then I started looking through their profiles, and the ones that I felt matched the criteria that I was looking And again, coming back to how can I grow and become stronger on the platform? How can I learn techniques from some of the experts and the people that are out there that are maybe a couple levels above where I'm at right now? So when I look at people with large followings, I mean, you have like somebody like an Oprah Winfrey, for example. I love Oprah, but she doesn't post on LinkedIn. She has a large following because she's Oprah, but she's not posting actively on LinkedIn. So that might be a criteria to not include her because I'm not learning from her. There's no techniques to learn from there.
Yeah. And then I opened up and then the LinkedIn Rockstar 100K plus looks like it's just one page only that you have of people that you list, right?
Yeah, so the 100K plus, I think I'm not sure how many are on that list. It's not as many. I think the version of Rockstars or the non-trainers are the largest list of the batch. The other one, I want to say it's about 30 total. I'm trying to keep them all around 100 or less, just because it's time consuming. It takes maybe an hour or two to pull together. And what I've started doing is initially I was publishing them once a week. Now I just do once per month per list. So it's 3 weekends out of the month that I have to work on these things. So I'm trying to kind of be respectful of the amount of time it takes and then, provide value in those lists.
Yeah,
too.
this one looks good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'll definitely go and check these guys out, like see who I want to follow. I think it's super useful. And there's a place in your LinkedIn where you see like the people you know now. People you might know there. If you scroll below, there's like a list of influencers. I've been kind of connected with more people there. But yeah, this was super interesting for me because I made that list on my own, and I was just like, I kept thinking about this. I think like this should be made a lot easier for you, for me, for anyone. So we're definitely like thinking about this stuff. Yeah. So thanks for giving me the time. And I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that like it just like struck me, it struck me like I found it so interesting. I just wanna like kept looking at it, and like I said, because I did my own list of followers, but you were doing it kind of more widely, just for segments. I felt like there was something in there, like some overlap or there was something similar. Like, so I felt there was a common need to anyways have these lists, and I realized I definitely agree with you on the tracking growth is key, right? So I think more people will have this need. So basically what I would like to ask everyone is like, guys, let us know if this is something of interest, because I'm definitely have a few ideas going on in my head around this. So cool. Okay, so aside from this, like, let's say, how did you achieve your growth? Like, what are the most important strategies, that you would recommend others to start following and thinking about it?
Yeah, so I mean, my background is I'm a marketer. My entire career, I've worked for organizations in a marketing role, and marketing is essentially connecting a consumer with brands and products with organizations that they want to buy from. So as a marketer, I'm always thinking about who is your target audience and really your ideal target audience, and why do they care? What are they looking for in terms of product, services, attributes, etc. How does it solve problems for them? So my approach on LinkedIn has always been that of a marketer, and I'm looking at it from both the audience perspective of a target audience, what are they looking for, and then also understanding the platform a little bit. And it's never for me been about gaming the system or trying to figure out hacks or backdoors. It's more understanding how things are appearing in search and what are various techniques that can help you to have the strongest presence, whether it's optimizing your profile or the use of hashtags, posting frequency, all of those things. But it's always been a combination of understanding human behavior as well as the technology. And that's kind of LinkedIn's approach too. I mean, they're trying to make sure that they're serving content that is relevant to you in your homepage feed, and they're keeping posts in there that are getting a lot of attention and engagement, and the ones that aren't kind of quickly fall underneath. So for me, my strategy has always been posting on a regular basis, and it doesn't mean every day at 9 a.m., but it does mean at least and only once per day, and really trying to think about who's my audience and what are they looking for, and not pushing out sales messages, but instead focusing on content that is seen as relevant for them, whether that's information, education, insights, or my favorite is shining the spotlight on others.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I was taking notes. When I look down, I'm just taking notes on a very, very simple old school notebook, so that I can, know what I can ask you next. So it's interesting. Like I had a couple of other people here on the live stream that said that they post, one lady said 8 times, and I was like, per day. And I was like,
on LinkedIn or on Twitter? Because I work on Twitter. I know. I mean, on LinkedIn, you got to think about if you are, someone with 5 million followers, sure, 8 times a day makes sense. If you're a mere mortal human being like me, I don't know. I mean, how do you have time to do that? And then I would also look at, what type of engagement are you getting on those posts? Are you getting any likes and comments and shares? And if so, keep at it, definitely. But my guess is if you're posting 8 times a day, you're checking the box on posting, but you're probably not getting a lot of engagement from those posts.
I mean, I'll be honest, I did see some of the posts were like, hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Goodbye. And I was like, okay, it's like, felt like Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, that sounds like
just
a Facebook post, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I mean, maybe, and the funny thing is that, when they talk about engagement, there's still some engagement, because there's some people that like it, but then I'm just thinking, like, is there like kind of good engagement or bad engagement, or like, is there such thing, or who cares? But as long as there's
is there bad engagement? Well, you can put something out controversial, and I'm gonna give a shout out here to Shay Rowbottom. So if you guys are following Shay, she is like super video marketer. She always has really clever, interesting, sometimes humorous videos, but sometimes she kind of goes, she goes off of what is a traditional type of a message, and she goes with a direct message that might be seen as not in line with values of other people, or even a little bit offensive. And she's like, I don't care. This is how I feel about this.
Shay Rowbottom, I found her on the 100K plus.
Yes, she's on there, but she knows going out that there are going to be people that don't agree with her.
Oh yeah.
But it's true to her. And, you get the haters, and I even found, like, with my rockstars list, when I started to reach 20,000, 30,000 views. Yeah, she's great. So when I started to reach 20,000, 30,000 views on the post, it was like the trolls started coming out and people criticizing, why are you doing this? This is evaluating followers, which is not the right way of evaluating business growth. And then I had other people saying, you're not showing enough people of this, this type in your list, or they were critiquing, the whole premise of following. And they're like, you guys are just a bunch of people smacking each other on the back, and this adds no value to the platform. I mean, in PR, any PR is good PR kind of a thing. And, on LinkedIn, any engagement. I mean, and sometimes when people will post a negative comment on my post, I will reply back and I'll say, thanks, Vince, for your comment. By adding a comment here, you're actually broadcasting this post out to your network, which helps me. So
yeah, the whole love your haters stuff, for sure.
I don't care. And Shay will do the same thing. She's like, she'll post things, and she'll even talk about it sometimes. When she posts this, she got some negative comments, and is that going to stop you? No. I mean, in the beginning, does it hurt? Yeah, until you develop a thick skin, and then you realize, there's things you can do. You can delete the comment. You can block the person from following you and from seeing your posts on LinkedIn. They can still talk about you, but they can't tag you anymore. So there's things you can do there. But no, I don't know if there's bad engagement. I think you want to focus on genuine engagement. I'm not personally a fan of pods, where people are commenting and they all agree to help each other and comment on things. I'd rather let that engagement happen naturally. But there are certainly techniques that you can incorporate. And this is me as a marketer. There are techniques that you can incorporate to encourage engagement. When I post something, I might end with a question, and I might say, what do you think? Who has inspired you? Or, how's your day going, or something? And that is a natural conversation starter, which helps to jumpstart the engagement process.
Perfect. No, that makes a lot of sense. And what about the pods? I mean, like, why are you not a fan of the pods? I mean, not that I'm a fan. To be honest, I've never really joined one. I don't even know what to think. I'm like trying to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been invited to a few, and when I first started hearing about them, basically the premise is a bunch of people will join a group, and they all agree that when you post, you'll share it within the group, and everybody has to go in within a certain amount of time and add a comment to the post. So it's helping to jumpstart engagement, which isn't too much different than if I post on LinkedIn, Vincenzo, and you and I are connections, and you value my content, you commenting. But there's not a requirement necessarily. I don't know if that's the right word. There's not an expectation that everybody comments on my post. Like, I want to put out content, and if it's valuable and if you see it, you add a comment. Versus the pods, I just feel like there's some artificial engagement that's baked into it. And I don't like to feel like I have an obligation to comment. I'd rather comment because I think it's the right thing to do, because it adds value to the conversation. But, you know, certainly I have friends and connections that are kind of participating in some of those pods and approaches. If it works for you, have at it. You know, just be careful about, you know, the rules, because I think it's a little bit hazy on our pods technically a violation of terms of service, or are they allowed? So just be a little bit careful about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and in fact, that's also one reason why I never joined it as well. And actually, those are the two reasons, you know, a bit on the sketchy side, and then especially, you know, if you're forced to do it, I don't think that's cool. But I was feeling the need to start like some, like, you know, just a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group with people like that have, you know, 10K plus followers, 20K plus followers or something, and just like, hey, like, I'm going live here, or, you know, this was my post, like, you know, I think I'm like sharing something important. And again, no one is forced to do anything, but it's just that creating a little bit of a tribe, you know, in a very chill.
I like the word tribe, but I think you got to think about it starts to create some clutter and some noise, you know, meaning if I'm getting notifications and there's 30 people in your group and they all have really busy schedules and lives, and, you know, it's just, for me, it's not something that I personally enjoy, and nor do I have the time, or do I want to commit the time into it. I would rather kind of focus on, you know, I have my own goals for the day and my own, you know, emails that are coming in and prospects and things like that. So, you know, to each his own, really, figuring that out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't pitching you this because I don't have it going on. You know, obviously it doesn't take much to get it going on. But I was thinking, like, you know, it's a way to basically create your own feed. I would love to have, you know, you have that list of people that obviously you have them on an Excel, but that's a little bit of the. Oh, by the way, let me make this point, and then I owe you an apology, but. Just to finish on this. No, I do, but just give me 1 second. I did say that I was super tired, so at least I have a little bit of excuse. But
you're fine.
No, like, basically think about it. You know, I love your lists, but obviously they're a bit dead, right? Because there's no activity. I would love to just see the list of those people. So now I have to manually go and follow them. But if there was anywhere I could just like click and see all of their statuses, right? Or like,
well,
if I were cool enough to be able to engage with them.
If you do, if you have Sales Navigator, I'm going to give a little plug for LinkedIn right now. If you have Sales Navigator, you can create a list in Sales Navigator. And I've created my list in Sales Navigator. I have my Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstars. I have my Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstars non-trainer, and my Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstars 100K plus. So you can create your own feed of content from those people. You do have to pay to upgrade Sales Navigator, but, you know, it's another use of the tool beyond sales prospecting. It's creating kind of that feed for people that you're looking to follow.
To be honest, I don't use Sales Navigator much. Like, it's I definitely, you know, since I'm paying for it, I should use it. So basically, you can create your own list of people. So where I see lists, is that under the lead lists or account lists, or?
You know, I just upgraded to Sales Navigator about a week and a half ago. So I'm not sure offhand. I know there's, like, in the top navigation, there's a lists, and then you can create a list. And I think the way that it works is when I create it, I'm on someone's profile, and then if they're not on a list, I click, there's like a little plus button or add to a list button or something, and then you create a list in there and add them to that.
This is a really good reminder to just go and use Sales Navigator. But to be honest, it's like, when you have, like, they're so separated, the two experiences. No, the apology I owe you is for misspelling your last name. Sorry, I actually fixed it.
Thank you. all the time.
I fixed it
All
on
the
all the
time.
networks. I'm actually curious whether it even updated. Like
It
I'll
did.
refresh up
In
here and figure out.
StreamYard, it says Meller now, but it's very common. I was a Zawacki before I became a Meller when I got married, so Zawacki was never spelled correctly. So Meller, it's like probably half the time when people are spelling it, they're spelling it Miller, and I have to say no, it's like Keller, but with an M, M-E. And
Yeah.
then I'm
Okay.
spelling it for people, I'll say
Perfect.
it's Meller, and sometimes I get Mueller, M-U-E. But I actually have in my profile on LinkedIn, in my about section, I do have the misspelling of it in case you accidentally type in Brenda Meller
Amazing.
for me
Okay.
to pick it up.
I
Yeah,
don't I don't feel as bad as I felt before. I
it
feel a little better.
happens all the time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and but like so Sales Navigator seems like, we want to leave it off as a topic right now. Definitely I need to go back into it and study it, like as my to-dos. I really need to go back. It's been a long time not using, but I mean LinkedIn doesn't even really push me to do it. I mean it just feels like they're like almost completely separate companies, not even products.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, it's a different application, sure. So you have to kind of, I'm still figuring out how to use it a little bit, and there's some things I'm
I
really
always
loving.
I always love LinkedIn the most because it's like it's always more of a just a business 24/7 always working type of guy. So it's my social network. But like their UX, I mean, it just needs so much work everywhere. I mean, they need to integrate the two, otherwise, like just generally the overall use. But still, I love them, so I can't complain. So okay, we spoke about buffer as well, and maybe like I was curious, like how does it work to, let's say, if somebody wants to work with you as a LinkedIn coach or whatever you call it, like what's the typical way to go about it?
Yeah, I mean, they could reach out to me, through LinkedIn. They can go to my website, mellermarketing.com/LinkedIn, and learn a little bit more about kind of my different approaches with the individual strategy coaching, profile rewrite assistance. And I do help with company page strategy as well, and team training and things like that too. But I always say if you're looking to hire someone to help you on social media, you should look them up on the platform that they are saying that they are an expert in and they can help you with. And take a look at, how many followers they have, how often are they posting, are they getting engagement, and you should be able to assess pretty quickly how strong they are within that network. And then even on LinkedIn, scroll down to my recommendations. You can see people who I've worked with and what they say, about the benefits of working with me. But yeah, definitely, if you go to my profile, you'll find several different points in my profile where I have a call to action. Contact me at web address, email, etc., where you can look up and learn a little bit more about my approach.
And then I noticed you do share a lot of PDFs on the platform. I mean, both you make this Excel into PDF, and then also, for instance, your live streaming. And do you get a feeling that PDFs are definitely favored from the platform, or what's your feeling around the sharing of?
I guess approaching this from a human being standpoint first. When you're looking at this list I put together, I originally was posting it just as a picture, and I would have some people. I would tag the top 25, and that's it. And I have 70 or 80 people in the list, and they would say, "Is this downloadable?" And I would say, "Yeah, you can download the graphic." And they would say, "But I can't click to go to their profile. So is it downloadable in a format that I could click?" And then I started kind of reassessing, well, instead of creating a graphic, I put it into a PDF, the links stay within the PDF, and then I'm making it a little bit easier for human beings, for the LinkedIn members to make it a little bit more accessible. So, as a marketer, I'm always trying to think about what would the best format be for sharing this data, this information, this post. Because again, I'm coming back to my target audience. How are they using this, and how can I make this as easy as possible for them to consume or engage with the content? So, a lot of times I do use PDFs, but other times it might be just a graphic or just a single still image as well.
Cool. Very cool. So awesome. And by the way, the reason why I'm asking you is that this shows how tired I am. I didn't even tell you about what I've been focused on for the last few months. So we've been building this SaaS, which is all about actually like sharing PDFs with just a link. so that you can
Yeah.
get analytics and leads on your document. So basically, the way it works is that you sign up with Google or LinkedIn or your email. You upload a document. Right now, we only support PDFs, and then you share your links either publicly or privately. Then you can say like, I want to get the emails of anybody that views it, or maybe just of the people who download it. And so potentially, I mean, this could be good for you to basically start getting. Maybe you can do like, what I would recommend if I were you is to do a shorter version and give it for free on LinkedIn so they can download it via PDF. And maybe you can do a longer version with more data, with more information, put it on Share Doc View, so you can also start getting some email leads and stuff, because I think it's key, right? So that's, I mean,
is this software that you use or that you created? Is this your company?
Actually, we built it. We built it completely remotely with a team of developers in Mexico. My co-founder is a guy originally from Bulgaria. It was pretty cool. Yeah, we actually met over LinkedIn. I was complaining how I didn't really like the kind of software that was available so far to do this, and then the pricing went up like crazy for some of them. And so I was like, so let's try to fix it. And so that's what we did. So yeah, you can ask for people to enter their email either to view it or to download it. This was something I really always wanted. I was like, I want people to view my document easily, but then if they want to download it, please give me your email so I know who you are. And you can even double check, so you can ask people to like verify their email with a click.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a little different than if I just send a Google Drive or Doc and anybody can download it. This is kind of like providing like a gated content type of piece then.
Exactly. Then you can add your watermark. This is more of a premium feature, but basically we started off with really aggressive pricing. First of all, I mean, this is also very good during given everything that's happening with COVID, and our focus is going to be like kind of smaller, medium enterprises. But basically, what we give for $5 a month, some people are charging 65. So it's kind of more than 10 times that. And luckily we have a free tier that you can use for a while. So if you have like 10 documents and if they're under 10 megabytes and so on, you can use it. So this is why, like, for me, I always go and take time to look at kind of what people are sharing in terms of PDFs. I mean, I always love those PDF reports and stuff, and that's why I was like, it was also like kind of really stuck with you. But yeah, I was wondering like whether something like this could help you in get more email leads. Like, how important are email leads for you, or like what's...
I mean, in terms of this list, I mean, I've had a couple people approach me with different solutions, not like this, but similar. Hey, have you thought about putting this behind a place where you're collecting email? And then it starts to change this from, my original intent was always, I want to keep this as a way of just evaluating data over time. And it really was never, for me, it was never about creating this into a sales tool. It was never about growing my own followers through the list. That was a side effect. I was like, oh, wow, now people are looking at me. And I got people actually like Shay Robottom who are giving me shout outs in her sessions now. And she's talking about the list. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got people that are, and I've even had people from LinkedIn. I've been on calls with people from, or discussions with people from LinkedIn that are aware that I'm doing the list, and they're fine with it. And I've always disclosed I'm not associated with LinkedIn or Microsoft as a part of it. I do have people that reach out to me because of the posting that end up turning into initially leads, and then shortly thereafter clients. Wow, you're impressive. You've got a great grasp of the platform. Can you help me or my team? And, that's a nice side effect of it, but I guess that's been my approach to marketing. It's been more of a content marketing focus versus a sales focus in my approach. So certainly something I'll give some thought to, but it's not a current type of implementation I'd like to do on the list, meaning I like keeping it a pretty free-form platform in terms of making it very accessible for people to download. I think if I started putting it behind a login to get the full list, I might lose some followers as a result of the post. And I'd have to kind of think about that, because really the end goal isn't gaining new customers. It's more shining the spotlight on others while I can have a place to evaluate my progress and continually grow and get better on the platform too.
Yeah, and I mean, I really respect what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. I would basically continue to do exactly what you're doing right now. Maybe the only thing I would say, if there is some part that you can keep it more to your own, I think for you to kind of grow your email list, or for you to grow like your leads. I mean, it's always like a good thing to do. And I think
Right.
people understand, like, Brenda gives me like 10 value for free, and then to get the other 15 or other 5, she's
Right.
asking for my email.
Yeah, it's
And
something to
actually
think
they
about,
can, what's cool about it is that whole, I can still view it. I can view it as much as I want. I could even take screenshots, but if I want that ability to actually download that PDF again, then maybe I should let her know who I am.
Right.
But otherwise, like, I fully agree with you with this, and I mean, I would
Yeah,
ask you actually to keep
it's
on doing the same
changing
thing.
time.
Just
Yeah, because as soon as you
maybe.
put like a hurdle in front of people, and it said, and the hurdle could be go to this website, and then when they go there, you have to add your email address. Well, now you're giving something, and then what are you getting in exchange? Well, you know that by giving your email, you're being added to my email list. Well, I don't really want to do that, because I just want to.
No.
I want to observe. I don't want to be sold. You know what I mean? Like I have to kind of be careful about that crossing that line.
Yeah, no, I would say, like, basically and this is what I think there would be people who would ask you that, because I would ask you that aside from like having built Share.view, but like I always love content. So it's like, if there was any extra content you would do that was like maybe you were not sharing so widely, maybe you were sharing with some of your customers, or maybe some of your some of your leads, right? Because I mean, for instance, do you actually have a presentation about your services?
I do. Yep.
And how do you share that?
It's usually one-to-one through email, and sometimes it's a phone conversation that I'm having, or through a Zoom conversation that I'll have with folks. So part of my kind of proposal presentation deck. But you did make me think, one thing that is happening with the list over time is I'm learning things that I am now incorporating into my own efforts. And I could eventually see this being a learning tool that I can start to kind of merchandise. Here are best practices that the things that I've learned by creating and monitoring and growing the LinkedIn Rockstar list over time. If you really want to rock on the platform, here are the things that you need to do. And it could be like a top 10 things you need to do on the platform to really, engage with your network. And that could be a downloadable, because I think that would be seen as a valuable resource that you would be okay with giving an email for, versus the list by itself. I don't know that it's enough. It's more interesting for observers.
Yeah, I've been like, while you were talking, I just kept on scrolling on your activity. So I kept on seeing like all that you've shared in terms. I think in terms of only documents, right? So I was in your activity, only documents.
Yeah.
So I think it could also create like a nice, kind of. I mean, I just want to learn more from you. I want to know what else is in that brain. So please, like, share some more, like, that of what you can. Of course, and it's like, you give this for free, like this much for free. And you give this much under email, and then you give this much under payment, right? So, and then it is absolutely a funnel. And trust me on this one, that as far as your content, I'm more into your content, than anything else. I'm curious to see what else is there. So I'll be curious to watch. So awesome. I mean, to be honest, I'm excited. I got to know you better. I'm excited. Like we spoke a lot about the lists, because and how much would you like to have, like, let's say your list of followers, like I have it, like how much do you have that need, like I felt of
all of my followers, you're saying?
Yeah, basically your list of followers ordered by their number of followers.
What are you asking? What value, or how much?
How much would you need that? Because I felt a strong need to have that. I wanted to know, like.
For me, I kind of look at, I have a little over 30,000 followers now. I've got, I think, around 14,000, 15,000, 16,000 connections. I am not at the same level of connections that I am followers. And I have recently changed, so I put the default button on my profile as follow. So when people visit me, the default is follow, and they have to work a little bit if they want to connect with me. And so I look at people that I'm connected with. In the beginning, I was connecting with a lot more people. I do a lot of networking, so I was connecting with a lot more people. But over time, I started being a little bit more refined on who is my ideal target audience, and then who are referral partners or people who may make sense for me geographically to connect with. So mainly my business is in the United States. I don't do any overseas speaking engagements at this time. I am starting to launch some online courses, so now I might have some potential reach to reach people across the border. But initially, since I'm focused on the U.S. and really I'm in Metro Detroit and Michigan, so I've really focused my connections in that geography, you know, Metro Detroit, Michigan, and then United States. And sometimes when I get people from overseas reaching out to request to connect, I'll politely reply back and thank them, but I'll encourage them to follow my profile instead, because there's a limit. You know, once I get to 30,000 followers, I can't accept any more, or rather 30,000 connections, I can't accept any more connections. So I'm being a little bit more selective on those now. And to your point, I don't think it's as important for me to look at all of my connections, but really I can use tools like Sales Navigator to now go in and start to evaluate my connections against my target audience criteria. You know, I'm looking to connect with people who are in sales, marketing roles, maybe in company leadership, and then who have certain types of criteria in terms of company size and revenue and industry. And then I can look at their profile and I can quickly assess whether I think they need my help. And then when I reach out to them, I don't say, hey, Vincenzo, your profile stinks, I can help you. But I might say, hey, you know, been following you for a while. I might like a couple of their posts or things like that. And I might just say, just a reminder, if you ever want a free LinkedIn tip, let me know. I'd be happy to engage with you. So it's more important that I'm focusing on my ideal target audience in terms of my efforts, as opposed to, for me, I don't see the value in looking at all of my connections and their followers. I'm more looking at the activities of my connections and if there are opportunities for me to help them. And then if so, you know, how do I bring them into my sales funnel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was just so curious to know like who were the most influential people who were following me. I wanted to figure out who they were. And, you know, some people I was like, connect or text them about this. Other people are like, you know, maybe in some areas that I'm not really focused on, so not interest. But yeah, I was wondering like who had that kind of same need or not. And then in terms of your online courses, what are you planning to use in terms of what platform are you looking at?
So really great question. So right now I've just launched my first webinar, and I've pushed it up through Eventbrite. So if you look up Brenda Meller Marketing on Eventbrite, you can see I'm launching a LinkedIn for business development, and the first course in that series is focused on profile optimization for business development. And I'm keeping it small initially. It's going to be a group size of 8. After you register, you get instructions on delivering that, or rather on accessing it, which will be delivered through the Zoom platform in a small group. So you can see there, I've got the first one is
this one, right?
Yeah, the first one is this Friday, and then I'm repeating it the following week on Thursday. I think it's a week later on Thursday. So I've set this up in US dollars. It's $49.99 per session. It includes 90 minutes of training, plus access to a weekly Zoom group with other attendees, and then a 15-minute phone call with me as well. So it kind of reduces the price of working with me individually. You still get the benefit of a group and instruction, and there's access to a playback and a couple other things that'll be going along in there. Eventually, I would like to, this is a live delivery, so this will be me delivering it live, and there'll be an opportunity for Q&A. Eventually, I'd like to get to an on-demand platform, and I'm looking at Teachable and a couple other sites for that purpose, but kind of stepping into this a little bit slowly.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I also played around a little bit with the Eventbrite, like to try to plan the lives, but then there was like, I think that was too much work, like too much work entering all the stuff. So actually, with some of our other developer friends, we've been where we're building another SaaS for managing your calendar. We've been building this like free, you know, get a free to add your calendar button for your event. So you just add your event, and you can see how it's still in development because it's like this line is off.
Yeah, no, but, I mean, it's kind of good to try different tools and, you know, and different resources there too. Yeah,
but like I think it's still like we're still really early in the whole like online learning and live streaming stuff. There still needs to be better solutions for this. So I think we're still super early on this, and it seems like the virus is gonna go away at some point, but we're not gonna meet as much, or maybe go to conferences as much. So we gotta get used to this more online stuff. I definitely did. Another thing that I think I will work on is to get like, instead of not right now, I have a bigger screen here and my laptop screen here. I want to get like a projector there, which I actually have in my bedroom. So I only watch like stuff from a projector so that my eyes don't hurt as much.
Yeah,
And it's like, I would love to see you right now in the projector right there. I would feel like you were in person. I could actually look at you, and it's just like,
right.
Yeah, because right now I see you like this small, right? And so it's,
I know.
this
Yeah,
is just part of what I think, the future is gonna, and then you can think about holograms. Hopefully holograms are not gonna hurt your eyes.
Like a whole other day, right? A whole other time there.
Yeah, no, exactly. But awesome. No, I've been super happy to talk to you. Like it's cool to like put some actual people to those LinkedIn icons, and to your feed. Like it actually starts to make your feed more livable. And definitely I'm gonna make a list of kind of like live stream, like people I've gone on.
Yeah, I've actually had 3 different people. There's a military list as a spinoff. There's a gentleman in France who has created a spinoff version of the list, and then there's another person. I think he's in like the marketing and printing industry. They've all created their own spin-off versions of the list, and basically they're using the same kind of methodology with regards to how to rank people. Sometimes they tag me, sometimes they don't. I always encourage them. It's not like, I don't feel like they're stealing my idea. I'm not like, it's not copyright, trademarked or anything, but I always encourage them. If you create a list, I mean, feel free, have at it, because sometimes I have people that critique, and why isn't this and why isn't that? I'm like, you know what? This was kind of listed I created for my own purposes. You can create your own if you want. And they're like, well, I'm not going to go through that effort. And, like, okay. But honestly, if you guys, if there's people that are watching that are like, wow, this is a really cool thing. I mean, I started with, again, coming back to LinkedIn trainers and coaches. How can I be better at what I do? If you work in the software space, if you work in video, if you work in engineering, why not start to look at some of your competitors that are on LinkedIn that seem to be doing a really good job with it, and put together your own list and track it. And if you do publish it, tag me in the post. I will always reply back when I'm tagged in a post, on those types of levels. And I'll add a comment and I'll thank you. And I might ask a thoughtful question to keep the conversation going there. But I think it can provide a lot of value, to create your own version of it too.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy right now. I know more about you and the list. There was like such a big question mark about like what's going on. Like, who is this person who's doing this list? Like, now it just feels a lot better. I think I'm gonna be able to sleep much better tonight. So last night it was a little rough because it was raining a lot. So whenever weather changes, like gets a little harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I'd love to. I definitely want to build a list of like kind of live streamers, or anyways, like
Yeah, there you go. I mean, create a LinkedIn Live list. I had someone reach out to me and said, "Hey, how many women in Europe have LinkedIn Live?" And somebody tagged me in the post. And I mean, I don't know. I don't work for LinkedIn. I work for myself. I know the people that I know. But I encourage them. I said, and it was in a group, and I said, you should post that on your LinkedIn homepage in a post. And do a hashtag LinkedIn Live and tag a couple of people that that are live streaming, because I know a handful of people that are live streaming too, and I might tag a couple more, and they might tag a couple more, and then we might identify, okay, here's a couple women in Europe, and those women in Europe are going to know other women in Europe, so you can create your own version of that list too.
And so I'm gonna leave again to like promote your Eventbrite. I think I added the link on LinkedIn. I'm gonna add the link on the other networks. Yeah, she's Brenda is not paying me anything to do this, so it's again, I don't need to say it's an ad. I just think she's an extremely smart and nice person that I would definitely endorse and recommend. I'm actually interested in even joining this myself.
Yeah, I mean, the price that you pay for a session like this, I mean, I'm keeping it small group. Right now, you're going to hear something crazy. Right now, I have one person in this group. So if she ends up being the only person who's on, she's getting the benefit of live instruction for a fraction of the cost that I would normally charge for this.
Can you share how much you typically charge, or I don't know?
It's $49.99 US. $49.99 US. So when you click on the Eventbrite, you can see the ticket price says $45.38. So that plus the Eventbrite fee equals the $49.99 price.
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive. I mean, it's an hour and a half of instruction.
No, I was wondering, like, what do you typically charge, for other for other?
So I mean, for it depends kind of on the number of people in training and whatnot. But typically for a 2-hour training session, I would charge $450. So, this compared to 2 hours, it's a fraction. It's a little bit of a different process here.
Cool. No, I'm definitely like adding you and tracking you, and I'm still like kind of doing this because I'm trying to figure out like should I keep using Eventbrite or not? I had a okay situation. I'll definitely look forward to hear. I might join if it's not too late. I think it's about, it's like 7 p.m. my time, but
oh yeah. And I think the following week, Vincenzo, too, if you look at, there's another one. I think I'm doing the next one earlier in the day. So it's 10 a.m. Eastern for the other session.
Perfect.
So, that one's on the 23rd. So again, you might be the only person. I'm testing the water on these, and I haven't really started doing too heavy marketing promotion for them, because I want to kind of do a beta test with a small group of people first. And then after I do this, then I might look at, an on-demand course or other offerings in the future. But I'm trying to kind of go slowly and making sure that I'm delivering quality content, the time frame feels right, the price point feels right before I look into some additional offerings too.
Awesome. So in 8 seconds we hit the 1 hour, which I always said it's like the absolute max. But I feel like we're ready to finish it off. I mean, already done the promotion, everything. And yeah, it's been great to get to know you. I'm super hungry, so I'm super happy we're done on such a good note. I finally got my energy back.
Oh, good. Well, it was a pleasure speaking.
Yeah, because it's 10 p.m. here, so just to understand my level of commitment, right? Still gonna have dinner, so
yeah,
I'll go for that. But kidding aside, it was such a pleasure. I definitely learned a lot, and looking forward to learn more from you on my feed. So definitely go follow Brenda Meller.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Vincent,
you.
for the opportunity. Have a great night and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. You too. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.